Most people think of blueberries as one of the healthiest foods you can eat. And that's true. When they're eaten on their own, they are rich in antioxidants, support brain function, protect the heart, and may even help reduce the risk of certain cancers. But what I've seen in recent years is that health is never about just one food. It's about how foods work together in your body, or sometimes how they work against each other. And when it comes to blueberries, I want to talk to you about something most people have never heard before, because there are certain common foods, often eaten with blueberries or around the same time, that can actually interfere with their benefits. And for people over 60, those combinations can create more harm than good. Now, I know that might sound confusing. You're probably thinking, how can a healthy food like blueberries ever be harmful? That's the exact question many of my patients ask me. The truth is, food is powerful, but it's also complex. And what we put in our bodies doesn't happen in isolation. Your metabolism, your gut, your immune system, they all interact with what you eat in ways that science is only beginning to fully understand. And for older adults, the way your body handles these combinations starts to change. That means something that might have worked for you at 30 or 40 might be working against you at 65 or 70. If you've been experiencing joint stiffness that doesn't seem to go away, or if your digestion feels off, or if your energy crashes after breakfast, there may be clues in the way your foods are combining, especially when blueberries are involved. One of the most surprising things we're now learning is how certain fats, processed dairy ingredients, and artificial sweeteners can actually block the absorption of key nutrients in blueberries. Even worse, these interactions may contribute to more inflammation in the body, and for seniors that means more joint pain, more fatigue, and a harder time maintaining muscle strength and cognitive clarity. I've worked with people in their 60s, 70s, even 80s who told me they were doing everything right. They were eating fruit, they were adding blueberries to their meals, but they weren't getting better. In fact, some of them were feeling worse. So we took a closer look, and time after time, we found a common pattern. Blueberries being added to highly processed breakfast cereals. Blueberries blended with sugary protein powders. Blueberries mixed into yogurts with emulsifiers and preservatives that alter the gut microbiome in unhealthy ways. On their own, those additives are already problematic. But when they mix with the natural polyphenols in blueberries, they can blunt the health effects that blueberries are supposed to give you. Your gut is where a lot of this starts. At every age, your gut helps process nutrients, balance hormones, and support your immune system. But as we get older, our microbiome, the trillions of bacteria that live in our digestive system, can become more sensitive. That means when you eat something that disrupts the microbiome, like chemical additives or artificial sweeteners, your gut doesn't recover as quickly. And if you're combining that with something as nutrient-rich as blueberries, your body may not be absorbing those nutrients at all. It's almost like the benefits are being shut down at the door before they ever get to your cells. So what can you do about it? First, know that blueberries are still an incredible food. I recommend them often, especially for older adults. They're one of the few fruits shown in clinical studies to help slow cognitive decline, reduce inflammation, and support healthy circulation. But they have to be eaten in the right context. That means avoiding those hidden combinations that quietly undo all the good they're meant to do. A lot of people over 60 deal with low-grade inflammation. They may not even realize it's inflammation, but they feel it in the knees, the hips, the back. They feel stiffer when they wake up. They move slower throughout the day. And unfortunately, they often assume it's just part of aging. But what I want people to understand is that food can either make that inflammation worse or help reduce it. And for those relying on blueberries to fight inflammation, the way you eat them matters just as much as the fact that you're eating them. If you're adding blueberries to a breakfast that includes trans fats, hydrogenated oils, or sugar substitutes, your body may actually be creating more inflammation as a result. These combinations send mixed signals to your cells. Instead of lowering inflammation, your body may stay in a low-level inflammatory state. Over time, This can contribute to worsening joint pain, reduced flexibility, slower healing, and even trouble focusing. You don't have to stop eating blueberries. That's not the message here. What I'm encouraging you to do is take a more careful look at the full picture. What else is on your plate? What are you combining with them? And is that combination helping or hurting you? This is especially important if you're over 60 because your body's defenses are more vulnerable to what I call nutrient interference. That's when one food or chemical compound in your meal makes it harder for another food to be absorbed or used effectively. Seniors often need more antioxidants, more fiber, more healthy fats, but they're also more affected when those nutrients don't get absorbed properly. And that's exactly what happens when blueberries are taken alongside the wrong things. One of the most important things I teach is that small changes can have big results. You don't need to throw everything out, but you do need to be aware. Replace the sugary cereals with whole grains. Ditch the chemical-laden yogurts and go for plain options with live cultures. Avoid ultra-processed protein shakes that contain emulsifiers or artificial dyes. These small swaps make a big difference in how your body receives the benefits of foods like blueberries. I've seen patients go from chronic fatigue to renewed energy just by getting these combinations right. I've seen people reverse early signs of cognitive decline. I've seen joint pain reduced so significantly that someone who used to rely on a cane could walk unaided again. And in every case, it wasn't about fancy supplements or complicated routines. It was about understanding how food works together inside the body. There's a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of trends, fads, and shortcuts that promise fast results but don't address the root of the problem. What I want for you and for everyone watching is to feel confident about your choices, to understand that you have real control over your health, to know that even if you've made mistakes in the past, even if you've been unknowingly combining foods in the wrong way, you can change that today. If you love blueberries, keep eating them, but make sure they're working for you, not against you. Listen to your body, pay attention to how you feel after meals, and trust that science is on your side, especially when you make informed, mindful decisions about what you put on your plate. Health isn't about fear. It's about knowledge, and once you know what to avoid and what to embrace, you start moving forward, not just living longer, but living stronger, clearer, and with more purpose. That's what real food can do. And there's something else I want to talk to you about, and it's often overlooked. It's not just the foods we eat with blueberries. It's when we eat them, how often, and the state our bodies are in when we do. For example, if you're someone who skips meals and then snacks on fruit while feeling drained, your body may not be in the right state to absorb those nutrients well. Your blood sugar may spike. You might even feel more tired afterward, even though you're eating something healthy. That's not because the blueberries are the problem. It's because your system is out of rhythm. And the older we get, the more important it is to support our metabolic rhythm, regular meals, balanced meals, eating foods that actually work with your body, not against it. Now, you might be wondering, why don't more people talk about this? Why is it that you can go your whole life being told to eat more fruit, only to discover later that you've been mixing it with things that cancel out the benefits? The truth is, nutrition science is evolving fast. We now have better tools to study how food interacts with the body. We can look at gene expression, inflammation markers, gut bacteria, and what we're finding is that food isn't a single one-size-fits-all solution. It's dynamic. What works best for your neighbor might not work the same for you, and what worked 10 years ago for you may not be working now. This is especially true after the age of 60. That's when the body naturally begins to shift, muscle mass starts to decline, metabolism slows, the immune system becomes less responsive, and this is exactly when food becomes your most powerful tool. You can't afford to waste your meals on combinations that cancel each other out. Every bite you take can either help you age stronger or make aging feel harder. The people I see thriving in their 70s and 80s aren't just lucky, they're strategic. They're intentional. They're making simple, science-based choices day by day. They're combining blueberries with high-fiber grains like oats, not sugary cereals. They're adding a handful of nuts, not processed granola bars. They're pairing natural foods that speak the same language as their biology. And their results show it: less inflammation, better memory, more energy, a stronger body that moves with more freedom and less pain. And this goes far beyond blueberries. This is about how you build your meals from the ground up, how you think about breakfast, lunch, and dinner, not as a routine, but as a daily opportunity to reset your health. It's about moving away from processed convenience and toward real food combinations that fuel you instead of slowing you down. I know that change can be overwhelming, especially if you've spent years eating a certain way, but I want you to hear this clearly. It's never too late to change. I've worked with people who made the shift at 67, at 72, at 85, and the changes they felt were not small. Their joints hurt less, their blood pressure came down, their sleep improved, and their doctors couldn't believe the lab results. That's the power of doing food right. Not just eating healthy foods, but eating them smartly. So, if you love blueberries, I want you to keep them in your life. They deserve a place on your plate, but they deserve to be paired wisely. That means reading labels, choosing ingredients that come from the earth, not from a lab, saying no to chemical sweeteners and synthetic oils, saying yes to real yogurt, plain oats, flax seeds, chia, almonds, foods that don't fight blueberries but boost them. I don't want you to fear food. I want you to understand it. Because the moment you do, you'll see it's not about restriction. It's about combination, alignment, timing, giving your body what it truly needs, not just what's convenient or marketed as healthy. And if you've been struggling, if you're dealing with fatigue, brain fog, aches and pains that just won't go away, I want you to pause and think, is it possible that some of the foods you're eating with the best intentions are working against you? That's not your fault. But now that you know, you have the power to do something about it. This is how real health starts: with awareness, with curiosity, with action. Small, daily steps in the right direction. And I'll tell you something I've learned after decades of clinical work. It's never just about food. It's about reclaiming control. It's about confidence. It's about showing your body that you're listening and that you care. You deserve to feel good. You deserve to have energy in the morning and peace at night. You deserve to move through your day with less pain, more clarity, and more joy. And food, when used correctly, is one of the most powerful tools you have to get there. So the next time you reach for blueberries, I want you to think bigger. Think beyond the fruit. Think about the combination. Think about the message you're sending your body. Because when your food speaks your body's language, healing happens. Not overnight, but steadily, surely, and powerfully. And for anyone watching who's ever felt confused or frustrated about nutrition, I want you to know you're not alone. But now you know a little more. And knowledge is the first step. The next step is yours to take. If this video helped you think differently about food, even just a little, I encourage you to stay connected. There's so much more to learn about how simple changes in what you eat can dramatically improve the way you feel, especially as you age. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and share this with someone you care about. You never know whose life could be changed by just one small piece of knowledge. And if you're ready to keep learning, I've linked another video right here that goes even deeper into food combinations that support your brain, your heart, and your metabolism, especially after age 60. Remember, your health is not set in stone. Every choice you make is a step forward. So stay curious, stay proactive, and most of all, stay hopeful.